Hello everybody, I'm No02, welcome to this video, I appreciate it. This is the Act-3 walkthrough. I'm going to be breaking it down level by level now instead of doing checkpoint by checkpoint. It's just easier for me, because sometimes baby likes to interrupt my 45-minute long checkpoint walkthrough videos. If you haven't seen the walkthroughs before, these videos are going to be about map knowledge, where things spawn, sleeper spawns, not perfectly, I'm not pointing out all of them, but just a nice bit of them, about movement and where to hold out and what strategies that we can implement and what things that you should be looking into as far as how to beat this mission in a timely and easier fashion.
Watch your backs, alright?
So this mission, just like a lot of other open map missions, Blazing Trail, Act 3 has a lot of open missions at the first half here. We got this mission, Blazing Trails, and Cabins by the Lake, which are all really open. Huge open space. And that allows us to kite and kill mutations very easily. Open space counters mutations. Confined space, though, counters the horde. These guys, right? And sort of in the opposite light, confined space, right? So how confined space counters these common zombies. Mutations counter us when we're in confined space. And so this game is really about positioning. And if we are out in the open, the horde is strong because they have so many angles of attack and they swarm around us. And etc., right? Now I am playing as Carly just so I can carry 2 toolkits. And I would actually recommend that this is a two toolkit mission. Just because you do want the safe room for sure. Now that the medicine cabinet has a free heal in it in nightmare mode, there's always like instant value by getting a toolkit. But also we want a toolkit for that piece of farm equipment. What is it called? Combine? I don't know what it's called. But either way, this is a 2 toolkit mission.
Watch out, Crusher!
Now, we're playing with bots, so like the bots don't like to kite and move around, right? When it comes to shooting the tall boys, etc. But you can just sort of see how this open space would allow us to run around and kite that tall boy around pretty much infinitely. But this map is hard in terms of the horde. Notice that we don't have a lot of good holdout spots. If we were to shoot birds or trigger a snitch, our best holdout spot
Over there
is the safe room. So just keep that in mind. Nice general rule of thumb that you can always do is with your teammates, just be like, hey, actual friends or random people, just be like, hey guys, if anything bad happens, let's fall back
What's that?
to the safe room. Because there's plenty of room in there to funnel the horde in. And then if you have grenades, you can kill the tall boys, right?
Manners off to the right, through the woods.
Great map to do our little leapfrog technique. We sort of just shoot all the zombies that we can see off in the distance, pulling them towards us, right? Getting aggro on them and pulling them towards us. And then once they get closer to us, it's easier to hit headshots and our guns do more damage. This is not really a great holdout spot right here. Just keep in mind that if we were super duper desperate, we could get here. Some zombies would funnel up the staircase, and then some zombies would climb the railing. But mutations and stuff can climb the railing as well.
Well, ain't we full of surprises?
How did you know him?
Not much to say. I used to run supplies to him from
talking.
the KSC and other consortiums.
There's not a whole lot of loot typically around this house, but
okay?
it's relatively on the path. But you can see, here is a spawn point where zombies can jump down on you and stuff like that. Gym is breaking.
Need that.
And so this map, I think, is really broken down into holdout point to holdout point. Because it's so open from pretty much start to finish, the horde is always going to be a constant threat. So here we'll just shoot as many zombies as we can. Oh, I forgot to mention, sleeper spawns. Sleepers can spawn here. Sleepers can spawn on the house and the shed over there as well. And there's almost always a sleeper over there on that shed as well. Because in here on Nightmare mode, pretty much always a sleeper right here, and you can shoot it through this. Don't get too close, because it'll get you through the tree, but you can shoot it right there. Shoot our gun, pull some zombies. Let the bots deal with them. Teammates deal with them. Alright, because when it comes to this open area and we have all these random zombies staggering around, we really do need to kill them as fast as possible in the most efficient way possible. Because it's just, it's all just taking time up, right? The longer we take on the map, the more mutations that will spawn. And this here is our second holdout spot. This sort of corner, nothing can get behind us here. Not ideal, it's still pretty wide open, but zombies will sort of get funneled right here. The occasional zombie will run over the truck, and you can funnel right here as well. But even better than that, as far as funneling the zombies go, is actually on top of this truck here. The only way up is this. And so if you have all 4 players in the back of this truck, relatively okay-ish zombie funneling, as well as mutations can only climb up here as well. But as you can see, the bots don't like getting up here. They become one entity, and etc. So this is like our second holdout spot. We're rather far away from the church, so running all the way back to the church to deal with the horde is just not going to be time efficient, because all that time will be spent running back, and running back here will usually result in extra mutations being spawned. Another thing too that I want to talk about is the game director spawning things. The typical rule of thumb is if we have vision or proximity to a spawn point, the game director cannot spawn things there. That's typically how it works. There are some exceptions to it. Handyman is a great map because almost everything on Handyman is a spawn point. So there are some exceptions. This water here is one of those exceptions. If a horde is triggered, zombies and mutations will spawn out of this water, whether we're looking at them or not, whether we're standing in that water or not. Things will literally spawn all around you. The other thing too that we saw is that once we're here in this area, mutations that spawn randomly, like the wandering mutations, they will spawn over here. Right, so if you hear the audio cue that a mutation has spawned, look here, because they'll come through here. Look here, because they like to spawn right in this corner, and they'll sort of walk out. They'll also spawn in this water in front of you too. Or they'll spawn over there. Right, so mutations will spawn from here, the water, or somewhere over there. Just keep that in mind, because this ends up being an area where people get really bogged down, just like how I am here with commentary. Because there's so many zombies in Nightmare mode, just sort of wandering around, and if you kill some of them and then don't take that space, then some of them will like respawn and wander out from around the corner and things like that. So just keep in mind that this is our next best holdout spot, right here, and that those are gonna be the angles of danger and etc. Toolkit room can spawn there. I personally don't like that toolkit room. I'd rather have the other one, but both are relatively fine. That toolkit room there gives you like a pseudo holdout spot, but it's a tiny hallway where death will happen. Combine, yeah. I highly recommend you use this combine. Now, when you're playing by yourself or with bots, getting through this cornfield with the bots is actually not that hard. You just sort of slow claw your way through, you avoid the birds, and then the bots will kill the snitches for you. So it's really not a big deal to do the cornfield with bots, just because the bots will kill the snitches. But if you're playing with real people, I don't think I've ever been on a team where all 4 players got through the cornfield without somebody triggering something. One person sort of sneaking their way through is totally possible, but having 3 more players do it is just not going to happen. And again, the horde is strong on these open maps, so having the horde trigger while we're trying to,
mud.
go through this
Life would be
huge open
easier
area.
If everything was paved.
Real pain in the butt. One thing that's super important here about the cornfield, I don't know if you guys have ever seen birds in a tree, right? You hear birds in a tree.
What's up, Stinger?
If you were to go to that tree and look up that tree, it'd be really, really hard to see those birds. In Nightmare mode, just keep in mind that as far as I can tell, behind all these hay barrels and stuff like that are spawn points we can't see. But also, too, it seems to be if you don't follow right after the Combine, and don't take this space once it goes through,
All clear.
there'll still be zombies in this cornfield. So I triggered those birds on purpose here. Just see where the zombies come from.
Gotta take care of
Right? All behind this stuff is a spawn points. And the thing about these cornfields is that we might look and not be able to see any zombies, but the second you trigger an alarm in this cornfield, you will be swarmed from both sides. In Nightmare mode, these zombies would be jogging or sprinting, right? So just keep that in mind. It might look safe, but these zombies are like, I feel like just spawning on the other side of the corn, just because the corn doesn't give us vision, or the corn limits our vision. So even though you do the Combine, this area is still super duper dangerous. Get through it as fast as you possibly can. Avoid shooting zombies in the corn, because just like you saw, shooting into the corn will result in shooting birds by accident almost all the time. So let's move on here. Nice bit of loot over here, and sort of a restabilizing point. You can get players here in the middle of a horde and restabilize, because things have to climb up right here. I don't believe anything climbs up on this. They all climb up here. So you can get here and sort of restabilize if things are not going well. Oh, they do climb up there. Never mind. Just keep that in mind. Getting in this corner.
Thank you, sir.
And you stabilize. I don't think you can do anything else with this. It's all weird terrain. Loot this area as you like. Typically, I like the move more, loot less mentality. So typically I'll pick left or right. Just pick one of the paths, right? Because there's loot potential over there and over there. But I typically just stick to the right side. If there's zombies over there, I just ignore them if we can.
Could be something in here.
Get into the garage, right? Loot what we got.
Need that.
Thank you, Jim.
And etc., right? Beware of sleepers here, as well as here, and sleepers here. That little punch that I did here is actually a great example of how you can't stumble anything or zombies when they're in the middle of animating. It's true for mutations as well, it would seem. So just keep that in mind. Like if zombies or mutations are grappling or climbing something, you can't stumble them. As well as if they're crawling through, you can't stumble them. I prefer this room here because it's actually bigger as far as the other toolkit room is. And now that, ignore this door, we can get our back against this door. If a horde event were to trigger, we can get into this corner, right? Look at this. This is the best holdout spot now all of a sudden. Because up until this point, since that truck, we haven't really come across a really nice holdout point. So this is our next holdout point. If anything bad happens here, tell your team, hey, if anything bad happens here, let's get through the garage door and back into this room. We can crouch and then hold off. Right, but it's also nice that we have the door now, because a sleeper can spawn here and here. So if you're crouching through, you need to be really careful about getting your shot off,
Guess something's not right.
See that?
Typically in Nightmare mode, these two doors are both alarmed, but there's almost always a zombie inside, so you can just shoot them and trigger them. pick your poison. I think entering the garage is a little bit safer. I mean, the basement is a little bit safer than entering the upstairs because a little bit easier just to sort of break out, clear things on the right, and then get in a corner and hold off if there's a bunch of stuff in here.
Don't think we're gonna walk away from this without a fight.
Shit draws them like flies.
And then once you're in here, it's pretty clear cut as far as somebody needs. You can secure the stairs and then secure that door.
Reloading.
First aid cabinet here.
Come on, John.
They are here.
Heal, John. Thanks, appreciate it. And so, if you don't want to run back to the toolkit room to hold against the horde, I would recommend the basement is the next best bet. 2 players hold the stairs, 2 players look here. Relatively easy. A sleeper can spawn in this bathroom. Shoot it through the door if there's a door. And a sleeper can spawn right here. This sleeper's tricky. That sleeper will get you.
Over there.
It feels like that sleeper will see you just as soon as you see it. You can also technically hold up here, but there's 3 ways in. There's here, the staircase, and this door, and zombies will come from all 3 directions. But for the most part, this map is going to be all about just good movement, understanding how to play out in the open, understanding that when a horde is triggered, you need to get out of the open, kite mutations, things like that. Come on, John. But in addition, an additional holdout point now is actually this corner here. Typically, there's usually some loot here sometimes, right? But nothing will climb over these fences. Nothing comes over these fences. So you can actually get into this corner here and hold out. And sort of at this point, I was sort of hoping that there was going to be birds right here. Because I find that once everyone is out of the house and we're out here, most of these spawn points that I've noticed will come down the hill.
Something there.
When a horde is triggered. So this is a little holdout spot. This is not a holdout area. Not a holdout area because things will climb over this fence right here. Zombies and mutations will climb over that fence. So if you get into here thinking you're safe, you'll get flanked.
We're here.
Verticality that we can't reach but the Ridden can is always really bad for us because things can spawn and jump down on top of us.
Well, what are you waiting for?
Got a bad feeling about this.
And just keep in mind too that mutations will still spawn behind us here.
Hello, dear listener.
Just like that.
You know, for once I wish it was you talking to me. Sometimes I get kind of sick of hearing my own voice. But then if I
It's
could
the
hear
J-Man.
you, it wouldn't really be radio.
And then sleeper right here.
Could be radio, but I'd be the listener, and no offense here.
Here's typically the last bit of
I
loot.
believe I'd like to listen to what you
Kind
say.
of a deceptive shed. Things can spawn and climb over this fence right here, so if you get into this corner thinking that you're safe, if an exploder or a wretch or a tall boy shows up, they can pop around that corner, and you'll have a limited time to blow them up with a grenade. There's verticality here for the Ridden, they'll jump out on top of you.
Time to get busy.
So just be careful with that because you can see that guy jump down. You're not safe here with your back against this wall here. You can jump on top of these rocks for a quicker escape. But essentially, once you're at this point, you just clear out the zombies as you see fit. Maybe run for it. Get inside the safe room. And that's what is this called? A Father Fields or whatever. That's this map in general. This map's just about, I want to recap. This map is just about understanding how to play in the open, recognizing and remembering where the holdout points are. And we have the church at the start, the box truck by the dirty lake. Then we have both toolkit rooms if we have them available to us, either one. Then we have the basement of the house. We have the garden of that house. And then that's about it. There's that crappy shed at the halfway point on the hill towards the safe room. I don't know, whatever you call it, hatchbacks, trailbacks, etc. Other than that, play smart out in the open, kite the mutations, and then just be careful when you're walking through the cornfield even after the combine has done its thing, because you'll still get killed if you shoot birds or things like that. You'll get swarmed very easily. Thank you guys for watching. I appreciate it. If you have any questions or concerns or issues on this map in particular, please put them in the comments here. Let me know. Tell me where you're dying. Tell me where you're getting stuck. Right? Remember, when you get to that box truck, things tend to get slowed down pretty dramatically there. You get trapped there a lot of the times. So, yeah. Thank you guys for watching. I appreciate it, and I'll see you in the future.